Oh, I was supposed to look at what I was going to do in the city. Well, I know what I'm... Well, I know what Jorgendel's actively going to try to avoid. Resurrecting Tomadrill.
Don't worry. I'm going to bring him to the temple.
I know we got goody two-shoes on him, but he's going to try and convince you not. He's going to be telling you, like, he's good. He was at peace.
He came to me in my dreams and said he didn't want to be resurrected.
I had a vision. He said, everything is swell.
So,
Pretty sure he said he wanted to be reincarnated. And to keep killing him until he's a trog.
reincarnated as a kobold.
Random. At least you
If you maximize it.
At least you could be with
You are now a semi-intelligent.
I don't know if Ronaldo's dead.
you could kill these Spanish fellas.
Don't worry, Ronaldo will show up as a major villain at some point.
Ah, you better not.
What about Gandalf?
Yeah, can we call in a favor?
Or there was the other dude too, Talus. Tecmo Bowl. He's the one that the mage that's on top of the bar who just kind of watched us.
Oh yeah,
the super powerful that technically Tomadrill has been corresponding with that none of you know of. But hey,
Okay. Totally forgot about him.
Just suddenly realizes that this correspondent
drop his
person is
bag
gone.
of goo. Your problem now.
fix him.
Wait a second. If you died, does the Iron Stone still float around you?
I don't know.
You just float around a corpse.
Probably would have dropped.
It just hits the floor each
Yeah,
time.
good job. I picked that up.
I forgot he had an iron stone.
So did I.
The flaming corpse just
Gonna go on Jorgendel now. To approve my 23 to a 24 AC. Because it matters at this point.
Every time it goes by, your mace just...
So, we're still on the sea, correct? The high tide?
You're just about there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I no longer play a character that moves the story, so...
Well, everybody kind of was doing stuff, whatever. So, as you approach Port Balchuck, you can see that it's clearly a large city. Basically, the coast here is cliffs, kind of like the cliffs at Dover. And you come around a point and you can see a harbor, which is low ground below the cliffs, and above it is this massive walled city with 5 spires in the center of it.
Oh boy.
Protruding above. The port itself looks significant. It's not as large as some of the ports you've been in, but it's clear that it has enough docks and there's enough ships in harbor that it's clear that there's trade and traffic through this city. And there's what appears to be a long roofed building that leads from the port up the cliff to the city proper. The port is, from where you're at as you're approaching it, it's kind of just a it's buildings crammed into this small space. From where you're at, out in, a little bit further in the harbor, you can see past the cliffs. And looking to the north, you're kind of coming down, the coast is like this. To the north, you can see where the mountains kind of start, they turn here and turn inland a little bit. So to the north of the city, the mountains are much closer, but they kind of tail away into the distance. So there's probably some plains and what have you to the east of the city.
Okay.
I'm like, this is Tizite.
Are there any ships in
Throw him over the edge.
ports?
There are many ships.
Okay, so it's...
By the
I guess the question, would I see any banners that would tell me to, I don't like those guys. The red stars or whatever the flaming fists.
See,
The red
you're
stars.
there's not like there's no crimson drops flying on sails in the harbor. But there are many unmarked ships. And you have a wide variety of vessels. At the longer docks, you have like some large ships of some trade ships. There's elven ships. There's smaller fishing vessels.
Was I am I remembering correctly that Rob was instructed to bring us here?
Rob was instructed, and he's been in his cabin since.
Didn't talk to any of us the whole time.
Didn't talk to anyone the whole time.
Even if when I went and knocked on his door.
He had nothing.
Jorgendel's gonna go down there and knock on his door. And see if anyone answers.
He does not answer.
Something's weird.
I'm gonna try his handle.
It's locked.
Damn it.
I'm gonna send Jefferson Wolf to kind of paw in line.
If I take my mace and is the lock metal?
Chain chomp that big out of there.
Yeah. And then just pray it off. It's like, oh yeah, I don't know, he's hungry.
Bad mace.
This is gonna be fun.
For those of you who are on deck, you're very very close, and most of you probably haven't spent a whole lot of time on the sea, but it's very clear that Jordan and his crew know what they're doing, and they're kind of making a direct line for a berth on one of the longer docks that's currently empty.
I'm gonna ask Jordan if there's any good. Where's the best ale?
Ah,
Read for your lost friend.
in the port itself, you only have two choices for ale houses. One of them, very rowdy. I like to go there. It can be a good time, but you can find yourself in some trouble. That would be the Broken Tankard. Would be the rowdy place. There is also a more upscale. It's less tavern, more of almost a restaurant. He's never been in there. He couldn't tell you the fare. It's very expensive. But that the Golden Circlet is far more upscale, and typically, at times he's had important passengers that have gone there, but he himself has never gone there.
What's the city's name?
Port Balchuck.
Oh.
Port
Ballsack. Yeah.
There you have it.
Or Balchuck.
Balchucks.
I'm gonna ask him if he knows about any Fletchers in town.
Here on the docks, there isn't a whole lot for Fletchers, but if you go into the city proper, find your way to the Marshall District. Many Fletchers call it home.
Okay.
What's the power structure look like in here? Is it Lucy Black?
Yeah. Black power.
Oh, okay. That's that's a odd twist for medieval society.
Look, we're just going all out. Okay?
Is it king, queen, ruling council?
There's a ruling council, and typically the upper class kind of controls it. Basically, when you get into the city, and when you land, when we hit port and we're on the dock, they're going to send a tariff officer on board who's going to evaluate the cargo. And however, I make frequent trips here, and I happen to know several of the tariff officers, and they may give me breaks at times.
Okay.
He may have more information on current currencies, but in my experience, the wealthy basically control the city. And they are backed up by, it's not truly a military, it's a more of a militia. However, it's better trained than most militaries, and is comprised almost entirely of dwarves. Now, that's not to say that they have complete control. Temple Way is managed by the temples, and the different pantheons have their own influence within the city.
Just about to ask if there's a temple of Heronius.
No.
And Jordan believes, as do many, that the wizards that control the towers have the true power in the city.
There's definitely not a temple for him.
When you say dwarven militia, Jordan kind of like, what like a clan do they typically hail from?
Most of the dwarves that he's encountered here on the docks, he doesn't go into the city a whole lot, but here in the docks and the taverns where they may be a little bit more free-spirited, once their clan once controlled mines to the north of the city. However, long ago, in some forgotten battle, they lost their home. And
Terrible.
at the time, the king of Port Balchuck, when it was still, under monocratic rule, offered them refuge, and they've more or less been the town guard ever since.
And I see it. In terms of like the world map, this is just so I'm writing myself correctly. Where is this port?
You're basically not truly due south, but some distance south of Brandon.
So it's not where I have to worry about where Jordan is from.
No.
Good. So I put in here, he's like far north. I'm like, are we at the far north?
No. No, that's... You would have to cross a continent in order to get there, more or less. Well, not really, but kind of.
So, Temple Heronius
There is
on
temple.
Temple Way.
There is a temple of Heronius in Temple Way.
Let's go to Temple of Cord.
There is also a temple of Cord in Temple Way.
Eating some wrestling.
Most major religions are represented.
That's what Cord is.
Most major religions are represented, and even some minor religions. It's actually a very.
What about hers?
It's a very no.
What about
Aww.
Farlane?
Farlane would have probably a small,
Little shrine,
nondescript.
basically.
A little hut.
However,
Death worship isn't that?
it's a very beautiful district.
Saying.
It's the one place in the city where you can still get fresh air, really, other than the estates. Because the city is, it's not overpopulated, but it's damn close.
Yeah.
And there's parks and stuff where you can get fresh air, but in Temple Way you can go to the temples, but at the same time it's very, everything is very to Jordan it's very overdone.
Is there a large elf presence in
Just
this?
like it.
No.
Very
There-
few elves other than traders and travelers.
Jordan was like, yes.
Stay away from those crooked
And then I'm
elves.
gonna give you the side eye. I'm just like,
Jordan was pleased.
Munchies.
toss a coin to your monkey.
Yep.
So Jordan excuses himself, and you make your final approach, and obviously his crew is very skilled. They bring the ship in, a
Does a 180.
no contact,
Parallels part.
just kind of just brings it in
Tokyo
nicely.
drifts it right in there.
Sets up and drops the gangplank, and the crew. He tells you guys to go to his quarters. Go to the quarters and wait for the tariff officer, and then he makes orders to the crew, and the crew lines up on the edge of the deck. And you can see as you guys are entering his quarters, not an entourage, but a human, just kind of average height, balding a little bit of a beer gut on him, and walking with a purpose.
You see, Kevin goes.
Walking with a purpose, and he's got 2 guards with him.
Okay.
And he's clearly approaching, because you're the only ship that's landed. And you can hear Jordan and his crew talking outside in whispered voices. If you guys want to roll a listen, you can.
11.
8.
26. Jesus.
You hear everything.
You hear the guy 3 ships over shitting himself. He's got scurvy.
Sure.
C-Mac, you can tell that initially it's almost just a very professional, he greets the tariff officer, and the tariff officer says, we're here to inspect your cargo, pay tariffs, and Jordan orders the first mate to take the guy, he says, I'll take you to the holds, and the tariff officer tells the guards to go and get the value for the holds. You hear the hatch to the holds open and footsteps away, and once those footsteps have disappeared, you hear, laughter and just like, oh, Jordan, how are you? And Jordan says, oh, come, I do have something that I need to disclose in my quarters. Oh, did you bring me more of that wine? No. I have passengers. He says, oh, of course. And the door swings open, and C-Mac was kind of standing there just like...
He's got his ear in the door.
And,
Is your morph from a wolf ear back on?
And the two men walk in.
Just like before
Hello.
did I distributed the old sunken ship stuff, right?
What?
I have key 13, but I don't know what that is.
The
I
old.
think we're gonna do that after everything.
Okay, so I still have like a ton of. So money's gonna get distributed out.
You'll have time to yours.
I'm always poor as fuck, so...
Yeah, you are.
I'll just work.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just gonna work on it now because I don't know if this stuff's gonna really pertain to Jordan also.
So, once Jordan opens the door, he turns to him. He goes, oh, I should handle this professionally, shouldn't I? Tariff Officer Gantz, these are my friends. They took passage aboard the ship. I didn't charge them. Perhaps they're on a duty. And notably, Rob still is not here. He says, I took him on a duty. The mage, the odd one that I picked up my last trip, he has insisted that I bring them back to the city. And you know how mages are. It's probably something to do with the wizard's tower. I didn't want to question, and I didn't want to charge.
Wizard's
And
tower.
Gantz kind of eyeballs you, he looks through, and he very clearly, he looks at the clerics and the paladin and even the druid, and there's not a whole lot of suspicion. His eyes, he doesn't have a distaste in his eyes, but you can see his eyes narrow a little bit when he sees the dwarves. And he eyeballs the clearly a rogue, and he's like, well, you don't look like you'll be too much trouble.
Try to hide right now.
Just like hide in plain sight.
Go back against the wall.
Suddenly he doesn't see him.
And he looks around and he goes, ha, any friend of Jordan's is a friend of mine. What answers can I give you before you go aboard? Is this your first time here in Fort Balchuck?
I just pop out.
Yes.
I just pop out and be like, wizards, am I right?
Which he will snicker about. He will laugh.
Yeah, I clearly try to make a joke and it just fails. But other than that, then I just...
If I tried to do it with a minus
And
2
where
charisma,
you're
I'd be
at
like,
now on the
am I
docks,
right?
the other
Wizards?
thing, noticeably the walls hide view of the city. You can't see the city. All you can see is the walls and the buildings.
What about the tops of the spires?
The spires are hidden as well.
Still too far away?
Yep.
Okay.
Are there any customs we need to know about?
Ah,
That's a good
customs. Are you speaking of things in the city? Basically here, if you stay out of the way of the rich, you'll be fine.
Duly noted.
However, you will have to travel through the customs building to get into the city proper. They will ask you to declare any valuables you have. Not that they're going to charge you for them, they are actually very fair. However, they want to know who and what moves within the city. This is a very dangerous land, and as a result, the ruling council likes to keep an eye on who is here. Now, that being said, I will have to take your names before you leave. If you choose to enter the customs building and travel into the city proper, those names will be compared against a register.
I'm probably already on
Really?
Okay.
I could tell when you came here last.
Yeah.
How long do you plan on staying?
A fortnight.
Couple weeks.
Not the
Tops.
game.
That's her
Okay,
goal.
so
So,
Fortnite.
so we're getting a whole different spectrum. He goes, I see, I
We're
see.
not really sure.
Not a whole lot of plans. Fair enough, fair enough. Enjoy the city, just try to keep yourself out of trouble. The council is fair, though. And as a result,
That's our middle name.
you should be fine as long as you don't go searching for trouble.
We don't
And-
search for trouble. We fix it.
There's always money to be made.
Good, because we got a dead friend we gotta resurrect.
Oh. Oh, you brought a body. That should be noted. That being said, there is only one place in the city that performs resurrections currently, and that would be at the Temple of Pelor.
But war?
It is a grand building in Temple's Way to the north of the spires.
Are you sure Heronius doesn't do that?
Do you not know of Port Balchuck?
I don't. We've never been here before. I've never been here before.
We're doobies.
Port Balchuck proper, while not ruled by the wizards, is ultimately controlled by the wizards. Perhaps you saw the spires on your way in. Those spires were specifically created to keep magic out of our city.
Interesting.
Okay, what, by magic do you mean casting of spells?
There is
Do you need
a
a permit to cast
continuous anti-magic field upon all of Port Balchuck proper.
Are magic items affected by this?
Any but the most powerful magics are affected.
Got it.
Here in the port, it's kind of the Wild West, but that's the way I like it.
Just gonna shoot someone now.
However, once you get into the city proper, be prepared.
Do you know what, why the Temple of Pelor is the only place
The
allowed to
Temple
practice
of-
magic?
Because
The Temple of Pelor.
every other temple pales in comparison.
I throw them into the
That
ocean.
wasn't very good.
The Temple of Pelor
If you do that, a wild shape and
has received specific rights from the council as the primary healing location in the city to have chambers that are protected from this anti-magic field. And he leans over, and even though clearly no one's listening, listening in on his conversation, he goes, "Lead-lined." This is to ensure that any disease outbreaks or such problems that occur in the city can be dealt with.
Are there any special things we're gonna have to do to get our
Need admittance.
friend safely transported to?
Are there any prerequisite quests?
How about his spell of gentle repose? Is that gonna fade as we go
Gentle
into the city?
repose will fade once you're in the city proper. This
Man,
is a
we're
valid
not-
question, so you are going to have to work quickly once you're in the city.
we're not
However,
wrong.
that being said, by foot the city is fairly well set up, and you can follow the main thoroughfares directly there. Signage will lead you. You will not struggle. You may get some disconcerted looks by hauling the dead through the city. You may also draw some fans. Very seldom do resurrections occur within the city walls.
We love death and we love
Mostly because the money that's required for such is beyond the average soul. That being said, it's not unheard of.
Looks like
We have had
Tommy knows when you
adventurers
stay
here
dead for a
before.
while.
He's gotta stay out here until we gather the money.
We're gonna have to crowdfund.
Oh,
You guys want to see a resurrection?
We're gonna need
Yeah.
1 copper per person.
how much is it?
Yeah, do we have a general idea?
So like 9,000.
He doesn't even have the beginnings of a guess. It's something you're going to have to go and inquire at the Temple of Plor.
Alright,
Alright.
I'm gonna leave his body out here.
Where can we store this body?
We'll park him in a
Probably
corner.
on the ship.
In the customs
You can leave.
building.
Jordan is fine with you leaving it on the ship if that's what's necessary.
Strap
Yeah,
them in a
I'm
tarp and just leave them in
Are
there.
there any necrophiliacs on the ship that we
Don't
should know
float.
about?
Tether him to the boat.
The salt will keep them, you know, the brine will
Salt
keep
'em?
them.
Just gonna
Take
make
all
a
those-
fine roast after this.
Some Tamil jerky.
He's
gonna wake up-
we're gonna pickle him.
He's gonna wake up super dehydrated.
Everyone gets what they want. This is your monies. Let me know when you're all ready.
Mhm.
Hold up.
Okay.
Hold up.
Hold up. So, okay.
Ready?
1 billion gold.
36 platinum. 46 electrum.
What the fuck is that?
It's mostly for other things, but
226 gold.
I'm officially overweight.
489 silver. 616 copper.
Jesus.
You're rich
And
now.
I have like a laundry list of gems that I'm gonna have to get appraised.
I have a laundry list of gems too.
Electrium?
Electrum.
Electron. It's a blend of platinum and gold. 1 electrum piece is worth 2 gold pieces.
I need to go through the customs and I need to make my way to the Marshall District because this is really, really fucking heavy
Are
on
there
me.
banks? Are there banks here?
Yeah, we're gonna need a
Oh,
bank.
it's in the wealthier parts, there's banks.
Why don't we just put all that money in like a wheelbarrow and just roll that
Oh my
in?
God.
Got a
And
list of
just
gems
do it
here.
directly to the temple.
I mean, you also have options here on the shore. Spend money.
I just want to go to a Fletcher's.
He
Single-minded.
needs more arrows.
I need more arrows and I need to search for a better quiver.
It's a quiver upgrade.
Arrows can be found here. There are various shops that supply the ships and the crews. Right here in the port.
Who could I see about money changing some precious jewels?
Ah, gem changing. Gem changing, gem changing, gem changing. I would suggest traveling to the South Market. The South Market typically is only used by the middle class and above.
Fairly honest folks.
That being said,
I have some gems.
oh, here in Port Balchuck there are few who are honest. At least entirely. If you're looking for honesty, your best chance is right here in the port. That being said, there are several shops here that may be willing to buy gems as well. I could not say it. He kind of points at himself, you know, he's just, yeah, he's wearing a uniform that's clearly like the tariff officer, but it's like, it hasn't been washed in a while. He's like, clearly I'm not one for fineries.
Keep like thinking that I have like a ton of weapons to sell off, but that's the other campaign,
Yeah.
Chuck's. Or it's just like, like it's Masterwork Scimitar, Masterwork Scimitar, Masterwork Scimitar, Masterwork, and I'm the only one with the strength. So it's like,
Gems.
This one's
30 swords sticking out.
pretty much like,
Yeah.
like
just take one arrow,
like
put it
peacock
in,
of
and
weapons.
it makes sense.
10 Masterwork studded leather armor. So,
That's weird.
alright.
My first priority is going to be to go inquire about resurrection.
Like if you have
Oh no.
like
Yeah,
a
we
silver
should at
arrow or
least get
something that's like
an
a
idea
plus
of
one
how much
arrow
it's
or
gonna
something
be.
like that.
Jorgendal size.
See, that just sounds like it's talking about the.
We need your help to exchange his gems.
Yeah.
I will follow along too. 'cause
No.
Same.
looking for-
So,
I have gems.
if you guys are done asking questions,
I think so.
Gans is going to get your information. Are you guys all going to give your real names?
Uh huh.
Oh, I'm going to, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, guess.
Check the alignment.
Doesn't matter to me either way.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I was lower down, so
The
I don't
rogue,
care.
no.
So everybody gives their names. He jots them down in a little notebook he has, and he says, "Jordan, I will talk to you later. Perhaps. Maybe we'll see each other at the Broken Tankard this evening. Folks, please take time to look at the port itself first. I think you'll find many, many splendid areas to spend your hard-earned coin before you get into the city proper. Your friend is dead already. He'll wait."
Good shit.
Sure, shit ain't raising himself.
With that, he kind of does a half bow. He says, "Enjoy Port." He almost like senses the fact that the guards are back. "Enjoy Port Balchuck, my friends." And he turns around to the guards, and he just, as he turns, you can see him go from like this goofy jovial to just like business again. And he goes, "What's in the holds?" And the guards report, there's basically nothing there. He says, well, Jordan, it'll be 5 gold pieces, standard." And Jordan, digs in his pocket and gives him 5 gold. He goes, "Thank you, sir." "No, thank you," from the Council of Balchuck. And they exit the ship.
Alright.
Seems on the up and up.
Go and explore, I guess.
When Jorgano gets into the, steps off the gangplank, and so does the covered walkway or the building that goes up. Is that like a thoroughfare that leads up to the city?
It's open at the bottom end, and it's quite a distance
Then you
up.
wouldn't have to worry about
But
it.
it's open, but you can see that there's clearly doors beyond it. However, the road leads in there. And although there isn't wagons traveling in there, you can pretty much make the assumption that wagons can travel in and out of this building to the main city and back.
Lodging can be procured probably in the ports too, right?
The lodging could be procured in the port if you wanted to search around.
Look at probably him.
Him.
Yeah,
Me?
yeah. Jorgano does like the bunk here, bunk in there. I motion to the city.
No, let's just stay down here for now.
Yeah. We gotta find some lodging.
So as you step off the docks, you're on one of the larger docks, and basically directly in front of you and to your left, and slightly to your right, are all large stone warehouses. Several of them are marked with the crest that you guys would clearly recognize as the Merchant League. The Merchant League are renowned international traders. But there's other merchants too that you don't recognize. To your right, as the warehouses, thin a little bit, there's a main thoroughfare that leads up to the covered walkway, and on the opposite side of it is an almost tenement ramshackle of houses that have all kind of been packed in. Some sharing common walls, some made of wood, some of stone, some of both. Varying levels of quality. And there's most of the bustle that you hear is further off of the seaboard.
You guys should stay at the port.
I live my life. I go to the city.
Do whatever you want.
I would like to visit the Shrine of Farley, but I can wait for a little bit if needed.
Well, I think we're going there right away to find out how much it's going to cost.
I'm going to go there. I don't know if you should go there
I'm gonna wander around, look at the shops.
because you worship
you know where the shops are.
Yep, I'm
God
just
of
gonna look
death.
at them. I'm gonna.
But do you actually know where the port and shops are?
Oh
Is
no,
it,
that
like,
I'm just
the
gonna wander.
You're just
around.
gonna wander in the port?
Yep.
Am I supposed to eat them?
Along
No.
the edge of the cliffs,
They don't know I want
like
to see
surrounding
that.
each side at the entry, there's clearly a line of shops.
You don't know that.
On the side with the housing, there's also the 2 taverns that you heard about.
Okay.
On the left, there is an inn as well.
I throw on
There's
the
in front of the shop.
There's people out and about.
It's very bustling.
Okay, I'm gonna
It's clearly a busy port.
ask one if they can point me in the direction of anyone who would like buy gems.
Oh, you stop an old man and scratches his chin and says, "Well, the wizards are always looking for tools. You could try their magic shop.
Fucking wizards.
Okay.
The only others that I can imagine have the kind of coin to buy anything substantial would be the Steel Sentinel or the other shop's name. Elfland Oddities.
Oh. Ooh.
What's a Steel Sentinel? What is that place?
Oh, the Steel Sentinel. Crazy, crazy halfling runs that place. You have to see it to believe it. And he points to a building, and it's clearly like, here's a bunch of stuff that washed up on shore, and I built my house on it. It's like random boards, and it's like broken shields, but it's huge. It climbs like, it looks like it goes up like 5 stories of this shit.
Jesus.
I'm gonna ask him where the wizard shop is.
Wizard's Tower Wares. Just to your right of the entry to the customs building.
I want to make.
And he
my
points to it. This is a very, like, regimental stone building. No windows. One door on the front of it. And it says above it, Wizard Towers Wares. On a very freshly painted sign.
I'm gonna start making my way over there, and as I'm walking, I'm gonna turn to everyone and be like, "I might not see you guys later."
Never gonna see you again. Bye.
I'm gonna get held captive in a wizard's tower for eons.